Hey, what's up, everybody? This is Charles. I want to welcome you guys to another episode of the Dreamerspro Show, where we cover everything from sports, hot topics, classic debates, entertainment, and where we give you guys a fresh perspective on things and how we see them. And in today's episode, the topic is, can the Clippers finish with the top seed in the Western Conference? So that's the topic I want to get into today's video. But before we get into that, I want you guys to please make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Again, we're running polls on our channel. Please, if you haven't checked those polls out for the Dreamerspro premium platform that we're planning to launch, please just go leave a vote and give us your feedback, because we really appreciate your feedback, because this platform is really dedicated to the community and is what you guys want. That's what we're looking to deliver on. So please do that when you have a free moment or two. Anyway, let me get back to the topic here. So let's talk about this here. The Clippers are 6-4 in their last 10 games, right? We all know that they just came off of a very disappointing loss against the Brooklyn Nets, a loss that I had a lot to say about, given that bogus charge call that Kawhi Leonard got, that went against Kawhi Leonard, that the flip-flop and James Harden was able to get away with. I think it was just egregious. Everyone that's seen that game, everyone that saw that game has even admitted that was a ridiculous call. Laker fans, most people, right? I think it's just those fans that are, maybe Nets fans are like, no, it was a good call. They didn't call it, right? But everybody knew that was a flop. But nevertheless, they came off a very tough loss. But the Clippers had won about four out of their last five up until that moment, and they had been playing well. Now listen, the Lakers have recently dropped 3 games in a row, and what that means is that the Clippers have now been able to maintain the number 2 seed in the Western Conference, right? The Western Conference right now this year, usually is jam-packed, but this year is jam-packed as well. If I look at the Western Conference standings, it's really jam-packed. You're looking at the Jazz at the number 1 spot, Clippers at the number 2, Lakers, as I said, who lost 3 in a row. They now have an identical record to the Clippers with 22-10 with the Clippers. Then you have the Phoenix Suns, who won 3 games in a row. They're now in the number 4 spot, and they have a 20-10 record. Then you have the Portland Trail Blazers, who were warming up, but have kind of cooled down. They've lost 2 games in a row. But they're going to be playing the Lakers pretty soon. Then you have the Spurs, who found a way to claw their way into the playoff picture. They're 5 games above 500. They're the number 6 seed. Then you have the Denver Nuggets, who have been a disappointment this season, given the fact how well they played in the bubble last season. Now, let me just say this for a brief moment here, touching on Jamal Murray. We wanted to do a video on it, but I didn't see how we're going to spend one entire video talking about a 50-point game performance, although we would have to juxtapose his performance with so many other 50-point games, and it just takes too long. As you know, we produce content every single day, so for us to sit down and plan that type of video, it would take forever, and by the time we posted a video on it, it wouldn't even matter anymore. So let me just touch on it briefly. Let me tell you something. I had to sit back and think. This guy had a 50-point game, shooting 80% from the field, 80% I believe it was from the free throw line, and with 0 free throws. I think I had to sit back and ask myself, is that the most impressive stat line I've ever heard in my life? That might be one of the most 50 points on 80% field goal shooting. That's unheard of. Like, I tip my hat to Jamal Murray, man. Jamal Murray, what a performance. Anyway, and then you have the Warriors, who are at the number 8 spot. So the Western Conference is jam-packed. Now, let's talk about the Clippers' following opponents. Now, I don't know if you guys are aware of this, but the NBA hasn't released a schedule beyond the end of this month, February. I don't know what the schedule is going to be in March, but for now we know the final 6 games of this month. So let's talk about it. The Clippers are going to be playing the Wizards. They're going to be playing the Grizzlies 2 times in a row. Then they're going to be playing the Bucks, the Celtics, and the Wizards. Now, the Wizards just beat the Lakers, a shorthanded Lakers, but listen, they have one of the most deadly, dangerous backcourts in the NBA with a Bradley Beal, who's now is an all-star starter, but he's also the leading scorer in the NBA, and he's playing with Russell Westbrook. I think Russell Westbrook had a 30-point triple-double, and Bradley Beal had over 30 points that game. So they're a very deadly backcourt. Just because they have a sorry record, a terrible record, does not mean that they should be overlooked, because that backcourt is very, very deadly. Now, the Grizzlies are going to be playing in back-to-back, but the Grizzlies are below 500. They are below 500 team. The Celtics and the Bucks, or the Bucks and the Celtics, rather, have been playing just okay. They're not playing pretty well. The Bucks are not playing as great as they did a year ago. And the Boston Celtics just really came up to a very disappointing loss that they shouldn't have lost, a game they shouldn't have lost to the New Orleans Pelicans. Is it the New Orleans Pelicans? Yes, the New Orleans Pelicans. So they have those things. There are those things kind of percolating in the background that we need to pay attention to. Now listen, let's talk about these final 6 games for a second. Listen, I think the Clippers can finish off the season going 6-0 in these final games, right? What I need to see is Paul George and Kawhi Leonard available. I'm kind of tired of seeing stars miss games. It's actually ridiculous at this point. Now, some people may say because the games are so congested, they're so close to one another, maybe it's causing injuries, but I just don't really understand. As somebody that's been watching basketball for about 20 years now, I just don't understand why these guys, with all the sports science advances and all of these different things, why guys are just not as durable as they used to be. Makes no sense, really. But we're going to do a video on it. It just makes no sense, to be quite honest with you. Jordan, I think, played at least 82 games 10 times or so, or 9 or 10 times in his career. Same with Kobe, right? So there's all of this advances in sports and science. Why are these guys less durable? It makes really no sense. If you look at the older players, Karl Malone and some of these guys. Now, obviously, there's some exemptions like the Allen Iverson. But Allen Iverson, 6'1", he weighed 165 pounds, banging into bigger dudes. I don't understand why players today are just not as durable. And it's not like as if they don't have better training staff, better medical staff to really take care of their bodies, better nutrition. But nevertheless, guys are just breaking down left and right. It's really remarkable. It's something that a lot of us should think about, because I don't really understand. Maybe there are a lot of people making a lot of money in these industries, selling people a bunch of bogus, because it's not working. Players are just falling off like flies left and right. So listen, I would hope that Paul George and Kawhi Leonard will be available for these next 6 games. I don't want to hear anything about these guys missing games. As a fan, it's beginning to get ridiculous, to be honest with you. Everybody else shows up to work. Their construction workers and other forms of work, they show up to work. I don't understand why these guys can't show up to work, given the fact that if you think of some of these people in manual labor jobs, I don't think they're coming home. They have medical training staffs and things that can put them through recovery to get them to recover, but yet they show up to work every single day. I don't understand really what's really happening in this world today. It's a video we're thinking of doing, but I'm not sure about it. There's a lot of stuff that leaves me scratching my head. Also, I hope we don't have a repeat of that stupid policy that the Clippers implemented by taking Paul George out of that game in the last 2.5 minutes or 2 minutes and 50 seconds of the game versus the Nets. I hope we don't have a repeat of that. Just like Nick Rice said, it's some type of pseudoscience that's saying you can play 33 minutes in a game, but if you play 35, you're just going to risk injury. A lot of head scratching things are happening that make absolutely no sense. But I hope we don't have a repeat of that. Now, back to the top seed question. Listen, the Lakers are going to have a tougher schedule finishing this month, right? But they had a very soft schedule to begin the season with, so things are kind of balancing out. The Lakers have a tough schedule. They're going to be playing the Jazz, Blazers, Warriors, Suns, Kings. That's a tough schedule. And given the fact that you just lost 3 games in a row, those are tough teams, because 4 out of those 5 teams are playoff teams already. So the Lakers, the Clippers can win these games and also get a good and put some distance between themselves and the Lakers, depending on how they play these final 6 games. So listen, I think the Clippers obviously can finish with the number 2 seed in the Western Conference for the month, and now it's going to be really up to them to see if they can catch the Utah Jazz, because the Utah Jazz have been hot. If I go back and look at them, they won 9 out of their last 10 games, with the exception of that loss to the Clippers. Had they not lost that game, they would have won 10 games in a row. So it's going to be pretty tough, but for sure, I think they can definitely get that number 2 seed. So what I want to know from you guys is, what do you think is going to happen? How do you think the Clippers are going to finish off this month? Do you think they're at least going to have the number 2 seed? And do you think ultimately they can finish with the number 1 record in the Western Conference? Whatever you guys think, please leave your thoughts and comments in the comment section below. Again, if you enjoyed the video, be sure to make sure you go ahead and hit the like button, hit the subscribe button, and hit the notification bell to be notified whenever we drop our content. Once again, this is Charles here from Dreamerspro, wishing you guys an amazing day and catch you guys on the next episode. Peace.